Leyland Pitt, our guest. He is a professor of marketing at Simon Fraser University at the Siegel, no, the Beatty School.
It's now the
Sorry,
Beatty School,
the Siegel, the Beatty School, just around the corner. And these spoof ads, if somebody said something really bad, like if you take this pill, it's laced with arsenic. Could they pull it? Would they have to pull it, or is it still free?
Again, it's up to the company and the brand. If it was patently libelous and dangerous and untrue, I think the company behind it would certainly do something about it and would have a very strong case.
Okay.
I think it would have to take it into context, though. Is this really making a joke, or is it being serious? And I think if it was obvious that it was really a joke that was being made, I think the sensible company would just leave it alone.
Of course.
Because you look
free
like a bully.
speech, free ads.
You look like a bully.
But as you know, in the old days, pretty much if you put a girl in a skimpy outfit, we used to call it tits and ass, in the beer ad, it worked big time. And in fact, if you didn't have a girl in the ads, they say, get a girl. Now what?
My view is it's become a lot more sophisticated. You really, rather than showing people things, you need to engage them in some kind of dialogue.
A story?
Yeah, a story. And one of my favorite campaigns that has done that and then ridden on the back of all the little spoof ads that have come about as a result has been the Old Spice campaign that I'm sure most people would have seen.
Drop Dead Gorgeous Mustafa, who hasn't seen
Mustafa,
him?
That's right. Yeah.
Isaiah Mustafa, he's become a celebrity now.
Certainly, yeah.
Old Spice. My granddad wore Old Spice. My father
probably wore Old Spice. I actually went and bought some Old Spice just to remember it.
So it worked?
Wow, what a cool product. It still is. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
See, I used to wear Ambush. I wonder if they'll bring that back.
Somebody will, yeah.
Or Taboo.
Yeah.
It was very hot.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's, where are we going advertising-wise?
Yeah.
Print, radio, television, internet. What's the future?
The way I see it, you really want, if you want to engage consumers in some kind of conversation about your brand, rather than just shouting your brand at them. If I were to look at the Old Spice campaign and say, why do I think that was as successful as it was? There's two things. One is you really have to have what I would call spreadability. In other words, something that is so good, so cool, so funny, so amazing that people would say, that's, I want to share that.
Right.
But to get that to really work, you need some kind of initial boost. So you really need a good ad. The Old Spice ad, for example, won the best ad at the Cannes Film Awards in 2010. You have to have that, and you give it a lot of movement on big media. And then it assumes a life of its own. Then people start to put it on Facebook, they start to tweet about it, they start to make their own spoof ads that they put on YouTube, and people are driven to it. So I'd say there's those two things.
So what will happen to messages? For instance, Nike, just do it. We went through that phase.
Yeah.
A little woo-woo. Just do it. You can do anything. You can be anything. That phase. That was after Where's the Beef? Right? Will that continue? The slogans, the
yeah, I think clever slogans and those kinds of things are important. But again, I would get back, if you really wanted to engage consumers, if you're a brand manager wanting to engage your consumers, you want those two things. You really want the spreadability. So it's got to be funny, or it's got to be dramatic, or it's got to be impactful.
Sure.
Something that somebody says, well, I want to tell others about.
Or
this.
so hot, you can't live without it.
That's
and
right.
we've all seen ads that they're so slick and so fabulous, and you haven't a clue what the product was.
No, that's right.
So let's take a look at this one. It's something about telephones, I think.
No buttons, huh? No buttons.
上万真的比这个有效。
Saya telepon, saya iPhone, saya internet.
Talla pequeña, 3 pulgadas y media.
São bom telefone, oui. Même jogo com a televisão.
حجم صغير ما يحتاج الوصف.
Bez knoppen. De processor is secret.
Quando há tudo besoin de jeunes musicaux, avec un seul main, on va jouer.
Ja se ohappen screen.
それだけじゃなくて、こうやって画面を横に向けるとワイドスクリーンになっちゃう。
TV
movies, web browsers.
And you can't zoom in by stretching your finger across it.
P, you even got the iTunes on there.
If I told you things I did before, told you how I used to be.
Aha. Coming June 29th, 2000, was it 7? So
That's
it was
right.
the first
Apple
iPhone.
iPhone, that's right, yeah.
Before as I was watching that this morning, I thought, there's not a phone in there, but it's very slick.
Very slick, yeah.
Makes me want one because
yes.
obviously anybody has one, or even if you're just an Orthodox Jew.
That's right.
You know, and an intelligent rabbi.
Yeah.
And all of that. It's
Yeah.
for everybody.
For everybody, yeah.
I got that message.
The fascinating thing about that ad, as you say, there was no phone in it because there wasn't a phone when that ad was created.
Right.
It was coming. We didn't know what
Right.
it looked like. And these guys in New York decided they would make an ad for the new Apple iPhone. And so they
For
said...
fun?
Yeah. Well, no, I think the reason they made it was not so much for fun. They wanted to get noticed. And so they made a really slick ad, as you see.
I see.
Yeah.
So the people who put the ad together, are they
Yes.
in the advertising business?
Some
Do
of
you
them had
know?
worked in the ad business. We actually spoke to them. Some of them had worked in the ad business. And they wanted to get noticed, not necessarily by Apple, but certainly
Sure.
as very creative people who could
I
create
see.
really good ads.
The none dare call it conspiracy part of me wonders if Apple was behind it. Be a very slick way to market.
Knowing Apple, I don't think they were.
Okay.
Knowing Apple pretty well, I don't think Apple were behind that at all. The people behind the ads certainly wanted to be noticed
Sure.
by whoever would notice them.
But it made me want to buy an Apple, so Apple would be pleased about that, I would think. Or were they?
Yeah. Oh, I think they were very pleased about it. Yeah. And that's what makes Apple such an amazing brand.
Sure.
Is most of the ads about Apple are very positive. And I mean the ads made by other people, not Apple.
Right.
Are very positive.
Now, I was watching the HST, GST government ad yesterday. It's just little stick figures saying, you know, scribble, scribble, scribble. If you
yeah.
want to know more, go here. Do
that's
those
right.
work generally, or are you better to have somebody in the flesh saying, I know you're a little disturbed about the HST,
Yeah.
but we've lowered it a couple percentage points, and it's good for you and it's good for BC. Would that be a better sell today, or does the little stick man send you right to the computer to do more?
Didn't get me rushing off to the computer
Well,
to do
and
more.
I'm thinking if you don't have a computer, it's not hitting that market,
No,
but it
no.
might hit if you look at the demographics, might hit the younger market.
I think
Would
it's
it?
more likely to hit the older market. People who probably don't access the internet very regularly. I'm really not sure what that campaign is about. I think it's
Okay.
essentially saying we should all be better informed about the HST
Yes.
before we decide what we want to do with
Well,
it.
you see, I haven't gone to the site either, so maybe it's not the government.
Oh, it's the government.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just assumed,
It's the government.
but I
In fact,
didn't go to the
it's-
site.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Not because I think I know so much about the HST, but maybe sooner to the when you have to vote one way or another.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what they're saying is, find out more
Find
before
out
you
more,
make
find
your
out
decision.
more. And also, there's a reaction always from the public. If
Yes.
you are spending the government's money,
Yes.
my money, be it HST or ICBC or whatever it is, it's my dough.
That's right.
CBC,
Yeah.
my dough.
Yeah. I always wonder why lottery prizes are advertised. If it's such an attractive prize, why do you need to advertise it?
My dough again, is it? Gee, the BC Lottery.
Yeah.
So, out of this study, the survey, the SFU survey, what did you learn as a marketing prof?
We wanted to learn more about what people say about these ads. And the best way to do that is to just look at the comments that these ads receive, mostly on YouTube. Because some of these ads receive many thousands of pages of text comments from people who love them, from people who hate them. This is really a new source of data on advertising. Typically in the past, when advertisers have advertised and wanted to see the response to their brands and their ads, they've done surveys and asked people what they think, and they've developed scales to measure advertising's effectiveness in terms of getting attention and so forth. What we wanted to do is to say, here is a huge source of data. You know, some of these ads have 40,000 pages of text response.
40,000.
Yeah. Now, the problem is
People don't have enough to do, Professor.
we can't read 40,000. Nobody can
No.
read 40,000 of pages of text, much of which I should say is expletives and you know, very impolite
Right.
comment.
You don't have to be a genius.
So what
to
we were
respond.
trying to find is ways of getting the meaning from this text in a relatively simple way. And so we've got some approaches to analyzing text data that give you some pretty cool maps of the conversation. So one map will tell you what's on in that conversation.
Well, fascinating work you do. Have you been to Cirque du Soleil?
I want to, and I love, it's one of my favorite brands.
We should have been nice to the next guy.
We should be.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Professor Leyland Pitt, Professor of Marketing.